Linwood-Central-Heathcote Community Board, Sally and Shapaya. And Jake.
Yeah, we've been gifted a new name. We have the name Waikura Board, which is way easier to say than Linwood-Central-Heathcote, so we refer ourselves as the Waikura Board. Thank you.
Except there.
We've got our community board decisions under delegation, and the first one on the list is the parking restrictions we've put in place. We seem to get a lot of these, and I've just been thinking about why we have so many, and it's often because we cover a lot of the business areas of the city, and the businesses, they have one business in there that'll want like a 5-minute parking area, and then another business comes in and they want it a bit longer, or it'll change the type of business, and so they come to us and they say, oh, could we have a half-hour parking area or a 2-hour parking area? So we do get a lot of these through our board for Central and especially around Sydenham and those areas. We've got the removal of the Rising Home Hall from the Council's List 3 heritage buildings, and this is a really good thing because it enables the work to be done in the community to make use of that facility, which they do need, and there's a lot of organisations work out of Rising Home. And the third one on there is the funding from the Discretionary Response Fund for several projects, including Avebury House, Heathcote Valley School, Eddington Neighbourhood Association, and the Sunrise Sets for the Edmonds Factory Gardens. And then there's one there called Waltham School Recycling Project, and this is an interesting one because it ended up where the Waltham School are trying to do all this recycling, and they have way too much stuff for the yellow bin and the green bin. And they have the fruits in schools, and these all come in cartons, and they have all the waste from the fruit and things. So the community board wanted to help them. It was very little money, and so we said, yes, we'll help you get another green bin, but that's impossible because the council policy says no, you can't have more than one green bin. So we will still help them, but they'll have to go to a private contractor to get that extra bins to be taken away, which does seem like we could actually do something in terms of, especially organisations like schools, we could change the policy to make sure that for those schools that are trying very hard to do the right thing, and the community board wants to fund it, then I'm sure we could do something for these people. That's right. So we will still fund it, but we will have to get them to go to a private contractor under our current policy. And maybe the OT committee could pick up
another green bin. You just have to pay for it.
Just yellow bin.
They can't. We've been right through that thing, and Shapaya will.
I thought you could pay for a bigger one.
They've got the bigger one. I think we paid for the bigger one. Yeah.
Can't we? I mean, is there? It does seem to be an incredibly.
We will pay for it. The community board will take it out of their discretionary fund. It's not the money.
They're filling a big green bin every week.
Yeah. Because they've got fruit in schools, and they've got a community garden in there, a school garden, and things like this. So there's a lot of green waste.
They're not composting at all?
Eh?
They can't deal with the volume of it because they're a school and education.
They're getting all their outside rebuilt because of the earthquake repairs and that have been done. So they've had to take the composting out of that.
All right. So they used to compost, so it wasn't a problem. Yeah. So this is a temporary problem until the composting goes back.
They still won't be able to deal with the volume.
Yeah.
Because it's that much each week, and
Yeah.
like composting isn't easy, and
Yeah. And it's also, it's not just the green bin too, Leanne, it's the yellow bin, because they get the fruits and schools program, and it comes in cartons, and it's just too much for the one yellow bin as well, you see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not have a squirrel questions carry on.
I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Yep.
And the next point on that is the application to the chair, to the chairperson of the District Licensing Committee to appear, for our chairperson to appear on behalf of the City Council for 375 Ferry Road, and this is of course another off licence. We've got about 16 in the same area, and this relates very much to what I'm going to talk about a bit further on, you know, how our community really doesn't want any more off licences in this area. So that probably won't happen till next year. Now, Part A recommendations. Yes, we have several of these. Wilson Park, which is just that funny little area in front of the Polytech, down on, which street's it on? Madras and Senasif, yeah. And you've got a Part A for that. Linwood Village, and I'll talk further about that as well, the liquor ban. And there's the roads and right-of-ways naming policy, and that's going to be delayed, but that's basically there because we asked that why we couldn't have more Māori names on our roads when they come up for us to approve. In the Linwood-Woolston Aquatic Facility, and that'll be in your Part A, where we're asking for delegation for the board to consult on the preferred site in the scope and the concept, but that will come up later. Significant community issues. The East Christchurch East Inner City Revitalisation Plan, and we had a survey in recent community engagements by Te Whare Roy Mata, and they are now working with what do you call them? Regenerate, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you've seen them out there, haven't you?
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Yeah. And the New Zealand Police have expressed renewed concerns at the public behaviour in Doris Lusk Park, and that's more to do with the liquor ban as well. There's also a proposal for a tiny shops micro village for next to the supermarket in the Linwood Village area, and at 108 Stanmore Road, but we haven't had much on that. We've just heard that there's a proposal so far. Yeah. And we've got they want at Ferrymead some conversion there for active workshop spaces, and the Heathcote Community Shed Trust requests the assistance of the board in obtaining the vacant site at 8 Martindales Road as a site for a community shed, and that was one of the areas that came up as land that was going to the council wanted to get rid of, so that was the use for that land there. Now we're up to significant matters of interest, and the Linwood Village social and alcohol issues. We had 8 members of the public address us, but there was a whole lot of members of the public in the room supporting them, and 2 policemen spoke at our community board meeting on 6th of November, and they were concerned with issues of intimidating behaviour, businesses suffering loss, residents' safety, and drug use. And you'll all have seen the front page of this morning's paper, an article based on a report that across the nation by the Salvation Army, and this has identified crime, alcohol and drug use and homelessness and beggars and gang intimidation as the problems in Linwood area. People there, they told us that people are living in fear. They can't let their children go to the shop. They're scared they're going to get abused if they walk along certain areas. And even if you drive down there, you'll get people coming up to your car asking for money. And I think this is the biggest issue for our board. We really need the help here, and we need council to work with us and the other agencies to make a difference for our people who are living in this area. We need you to get the liquor ban in place as soon as possible, and we would really like you to make this one of your top priorities. And I had a wee chat with Anne just before the meeting started, and we'd really like you to add to your recommendation today something about Safer Christchurch Committee having this as one of their top priorities, and I think I've got Anne's agreement on that, but Anne can say that. So Safer Christchurch Community taking on board this particular issue, because it's no use having all these fancy facilities around town if people live in fear. I'm just going to pass it over to Jake for a few minutes to talk about our LTP priorities.
Sure. I wanted to thank the council for involving us in 3 workshops to date around the LTP. It's been really valuable. It's been a really valuable exercise for us in terms of honing down what our priorities are. Thank you for those notes. It won't come as a surprise to anyone here that obviously the inner city east and all the projects that come off that, as well as the Linwood Aquatic Community Centre are our priorities. Obviously things like a drop-in centre, as well as the revitalisation plan and greening the inner city east are pretty important to us. And I'd just like to encourage council to continue working with community boards, particularly as that first draft of the LTP is worked over, because I think there's a great opportunity for us to kind of digest and distill a lot of the information, particularly the financial implications to our communities.
Thank you.
Okay, so who wants to move the report? Dion, seconded by Yanni. Is there any discussion on that report or any questions? Yanni?
I'd just say that, reading the Salvation Army report that came out yesterday, I think just highlights the need that this wider Linwood area really needs some public investment, but also just needs, I think, a greater sense of priority and urgency, particularly post-earthquake. So obviously we're going to, as part of a separate decision today, be talking about the Linwood-Woolston pool, but I strongly endorse the comments that the community board has made, and I think we really do need to make this a strong focus, because clearly post-earthquake this has been an area that has not had the attention that perhaps it should have, and we've seen a real exacerbation of problems with a whole wide range of factors, through to things like the school changes, the lack of housing, and the impact of the loss of buildings and services in the inner city east. So I think it's really important that we make this a real key priority for us, and I'm very grateful to the people that came this morning, and to Councillor Dion Swiggs and Vicky Buck, and also I know Brenda Lowe-Johnson, another of our community board members who's not here today but who has been doing a lot of work with the homelessness as well. So really, really important that we address this.
Sally, could I just ask you about the issue of Ferrymead Heritage Park, which is in your report, and clearly you've had some good contact with the new group who are involved, and it's just really a way of how in fact we might progress the really good work they're doing at the park, because clearly it's a council responsibility too. So would it be perhaps timely soon for that group to also talk to us as a council?
Oh yes, they have come to the community board, and we have had a visit out there, and they seem to have changed their is it the board that runs it, or their what do they call their board?
The trust.
Their trust, yeah. They've changed. They seem to have some quite dynamic people sort of trying to do things there and get things done, and use the venue way more. So they want to promote the park as a venue for weddings, for functions, for events and things like this. So if the council is looking for, you know, a place to hold things, they've got it all out there, and they may need help to promote that as well. So if you'd like to hear from them, it's really good. We've just put through the second car park for them because they get quite a lot of overflow parking, and we'd like to start a consultation project, a consultation with the community on the use of the land that they call, it was the former Tamaki site, what do they call it, Sarah? The Wood Hill, yeah. That, the land there, because there's a big space of land there. We'd like a conversation with them, because I think that community out there's been asking for a dog park in that area for a long time. So.
Thanks, Sally. So I'm not sure how our agenda for the last meeting of the year will be, but if there was time for that, it might be useful for us to hear about their project. Right. Well, maybe early next year, Leanne.
Yeah, yesterday I did go to the Salvation Army State of the Communities thing, and I asked the question about why they chose those communities that they chose. And in Christchurch they chose the Linwood ward, so they actually broke it up, and they talked about Linwood, but it's actually they've chosen it by the geographic boundaries of the actual wards for the council, and they've just chosen them because it was the areas that they saw from their work that they were seeing issues. And it was really sad, actually. I'll just sort of share the story there briefly. The manager of the Salvation Army, she's a JP. She signed yesterday morning, before we met there, 3 bankruptcies and 2 affidavits for people who just do not have any money and can't pay power bills. So there's serious problems in our communities with money and affordability of just living. So I mean, it is a real big problem. I just wanted to share that because it's exacerbating and it's just getting worse. Whatever. The Linwood Village regeneration stuff. I haven't heard anything from Te Whare Roimata at all about what's going on. Have you heard anything?
I was there in the week. I've seen them do consultations, so I know that they're...
So could you maybe just give us an update about what they're doing? No.
No.
Oh, you don't?
No, but I've seen them actively involved in the process of engaging with the community. Okay. Yeah, because I just haven't heard anything since we signed off on it, and with the list. Yeah, I mean, with what's going on in the media, I would have thought we should have. Yeah, no, but Jake was just saying that they were doing stuff, so I just wanted to know what they were actually doing.
Okay. The board received an update in the last area report talking about what the process has been. I don't think the expectation was for Te Whare Roimata to report. It was Regenerate Christchurch, who was asked to coordinate a response to the updates to the community board regularly. So the board has received an update, and another one will be given shortly. But Jake is right. They have been surveying like local residents on what it is they want to have in a revitalization plan, and what it is and how it is they want to be engaged. So that's been happening, and we were down there just a few days ago and talking to Te Whare and a few local residents.
Yeah.
And what that means that this is a model that addresses safety issues by mobilising community members into action and encourages cooperation and collaboration. So obviously what you're dealing with here is exactly that kind of situation. And so just chatting with Lester earlier, there is a lot of stuff happening already behind the scenes, as you'll be aware of. These are really big issues, but I'm just wondering if you want a few sort of quick wins in terms of just children being able to walk safely to school. And so I'm wondering if it would be good to meet with Bruce and Shapaya and just sort of start a conversation about how we make that happen. Would that be helpful? Yeah, okay, so perhaps we can talk afterwards and get that organised. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. All right, well I shall, well actually, is there anything that we want to actually resolve off the back of the first one? I just wonder whether just in terms of your comments, I mean, it wasn't clear from the report. I was quite surprised what your report said in terms of the green bins, because you know, the school recycling didn't really indicate what it was about. So I just wonder if we could invite maybe David's committee to ask for a follow-up on the bins issue. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
One of the committees, I think, already was a resolution around We've asked for one on schools and recycling. It's yellow and green. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you've already done it, well then we'll just simply note that your committee is following up on that issue.
But we just need to make sure it's not a waste management policy, that it is ours.
No, it's not. It's a waste management policy. We know that, but.
We pay for it.
Eh? Yes, I know.
Well, let's wait for the report.
Yeah, but if it shows it, yeah, at least we'll get to the bottom of what's actually going on. Yeah, that would be good. I was just going to put the motion is that. No, Aaron, carry on. Carry on.
It's just a quick question around the waste and the green waste, especially that this is a very traditional waste, taking it in a bin across the other side of the city. I'd feel more comfortable if we were inviting someone like Cultivate to go down for a chat and see if there's any other ways to skin this cat before we order the bin.
Yeah.
Or not.
I'm not suggesting that we order another bin. We've already established that the issue is that they lost their composting capacity because of is it a rebuild of their school or a new development there? So they've just lost it, and it's only temporary. It's not forever. So, but I think that if Vicky's committee's got a report on the way, it would be quite an elegant solution just to get a response to that now. But you may not have heard me say that. So. Right, so I will put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. And then we move to the